All right, I want to give you my review of the Canon PowerShot V1. Now this camera here is, basically it's a point and shoot. And you know, if you've not been living under a rock recently, point and shoots have been making a comeback. Previously, they were sort of written off, but they're making a big comeback. And this is Canon's sort of response to the demand and some of the other manufacturers that have been making them. So I already opened this up. So let's just get the box out of here. And what it comes with is the camera, this little dead cat that goes on the hot shoe, and a battery. No charger. You could charge it by USB-C, so it doesn't come with an actual charger within there, just to keep in mind if you want to have a battery charging on standby. I previously was shooting with the very popular G7X Mark III, which is like still hard to get for some reason. And there's nothing, it's a good camera. It's a good camera, but it feels, especially if you shoot on other stuff, it does feel a little out of date as far as how you like the interface and stuff. It does a fine job. I found myself not loving shooting on it. I love the form factor, and I did make it a little bit bigger by adding this on. So I like to shoot with Pro Mist. So I put a little Pro Mist on. It kind of softens it up a little bit. But it's very small, super compact. I love kind of taking it with. This one, the V1, it's definitely a little chunkier. You can see how the size difference. A little bit bigger all around, but actually feels better. And honestly, I just started shooting. I just took it out today and shot with it and just really fell in love with it. So if I'm not shooting on, say, called a point and shoot, if I'm shooting on a mirrorless camera, I'm a sucker for quality, right? I really want the best quality I can get. And so with this V1, honestly, like it really felt like when I was like opening it up, like I was shooting on a higher end camera. It felt like I was shooting on like an R6 Mark II, even R5. The interface, the biggest thing for me, and I know this is maybe not for everyone, is C-Log. This shoots C-Log 3, which, if you're not familiar, basically it's a flatter profile, allows you more flexibility in post. But this has this coming from, if you're considering, this is actually probably easier to stock still than the G7X. It's got a larger sensor on this one, and the biggest, like the two things I noticed right away is the larger sensor on the V1. You can just tell there's a shallower depth of field, and the wider lens. So this is the equivalent of a 24 at the widest. And this is equivalent of a 16 at its widest, which made a huge difference. Huge difference for me. I was like, whoa! It just made the shots way more interesting. If you're comparing the two, I don't mind this. I love just kind of like flipping it up. So this type of screen is great, but you still get the range of movement with the rotating screen. But I partly wish it had that one on there. It's got all this modern stuff that this doesn't have. So small thing, it's got a smart hot shoe, so you can stick something like this. Obviously it's a much bigger camera now, but it could, whether it's a flash or whether it's a mic, this mic goes on here. There's no cables. It interacts just as if it was the built-in mic, but with obviously a lot better of a sound. And this is just another dead cat on there. It's a much smaller mic if you just take it like that. So it's got more advances like that. Different battery, your cards underneath. I like to shoot it with this peak anchor here, and then I take a peak peak cuff. They always have these. And I basically just have it like this. And just grab it, and then I just kind of have it in my hand, or if I uncuff it, and you could, like, this is very pocketable still. I mean, if you're wearing a jacket or a hoodie or something, it's very pocketable. If you're not wearing a hoodie or a jacket, if you're just putting it in your pants pocket, it will be a hefty thing to have in your pants pocket. But otherwise, if you're not, it works really good. So the quality, I could pop up this a little bit and just kind of look at some of the it shoots the slow motion on here. You could shoot up to 120 frames at 1080 like in camera. You don't have to like conform it later, which is awesome. Otherwise 4K, up to 60 frames. And what I like about it too is that there's no crop in this. So if you're going from photo, there's a crop if you go into slow-mo. Actually, no, there isn't a crop. I take that back. There's not a crop going from slow-mo. So that's something that kind of always annoys me when you're shooting on a camera and you're taking a photo and taking a video, and then it crops and you're like, it's just much tighter. Obviously, with the built-in lens, you could adjust, but it doesn't, which is just remarkable. And so looking at the quality of it, it feels like, if you shoot on, like I said, an R6, R7, R5, R5 is probably a stretch, but the interface and the menu system is completely up to date with everything going on there. A couple things that I really enjoy about this too is you could see there's a switch here really quick for photos or for video. And best thing about this too is when you switch it from photo. So if you have like your shutter set in video to 1/50, and then you switch it over to photos, it stays at whatever you set it for the photo. So it doesn't just So if you're changing back and forth, like what I was doing a lot of stuff with my kids today, and I was doing photos and videos of kind of each thing we went to. So I switched back and forth, and it was just so quick. Also, another really great thing this has is a built-in ND filter, which, if you're not familiar, ND filters are like sunglasses for your camera. So essentially, if you're outside, you don't have to crank up your shutter a ton. You could put your ND filter on, or even set it to auto ND. Just a really nice thing. I feel like they just thought of everything with this. It's the equivalent of a 16 to 50 is the range for the lens. And it's a 2.8 to 4.5. So it's going to be a 2.8 at your widest, and then it'll gradually go up. So I think at like 24, it's like let's see, I think it's like a 3.2. You go in a little bit. And it doesn't, there might be a menu to change that. 3.2, 3.5, 4.0, and then all the way to 4.5. For the most part, I found myself shooting mostly at the widest it can go. But I did zoom in at certain times. It's kind of the benefit of having a little point and shoot with a fun zoom. So I think this is a great camera. If you're starting out and you're trying to create content, you can grow into, especially if you're kind of in the Canon system and understanding the menus and how this works. It's a great camera for just like capturing family stuff. It's a great camera if you're a content creator or a filmmaker and you want just sort of like a BTS camera or something. That was I always wanted like a really small, this is a bit of a dream camera for me, because I always wanted a small compact camera for BTS that the quality is not like, in my opinion, if you're shooting photos or something on this, like you can work it to make it look good, but it takes some effort. You can do it. This is sort of an all-in-one, especially with the C-Log 3. That for me is, like people like to say, a game changer. But it really is just this small of a package to have C-Log 3 is truly incredible. And it's a small thing. It's still the same rubber here, but there's more rubber going around. It feels like maybe no, I don't know if there's more rubber. Maybe it's just a bigger camera. It just feels good to hold. This nice little bump here works out great. So I wasn't thinking I was initially going to get this. I was still pretty pleased with the G7X. It did the trick. I was like, well, I don't really, I don't think I need to. But something was just kind of kept thinking about it. And so I am so glad I did. Definitely going to incorporate this more into our workflow. And a couple of just things to note. This is more of a video first in the sense camera. I mean, it's photography all the way as well, but I just say that in the sense of like the G7X, it has a built-in flash. Where is it at? That might not be a big deal to you. I do use it to be honest. I like doing like long exposure with flash. So my only hang up on this camera is that there is no built-in flash. Certainly you could put a little flash on, but then it kind of starts to get to be a bigger beast than it needs to be. But you do have a microphone input, a headphone input, USB, which is primarily used for charging it or updating software, USB-C, and then you have a micro HDMI port. So this is a dial here. You can see it's a dial here. At first, it defaults to aperture, which I think is stupid because it's like I don't know. That just doesn't seem like something you want. So I changed mine to shutter. To shutter. So I can quickly, usually the way I typically shoot is have my ISO on auto, my aperture as low as it goes, and then I adjust my shutter for light. And so it's a really quick, it's a super smooth. This one, it's more, it clicks. The G7X, it clicks, which is both good and bad. It clicks because you know when you're turning it. The bad is you see that, and so this is much smoother. So you can adjust I was adjusting the shutter for lighting, and it's smooth. It's basically, if you are familiar with cine lenses, it feels like a declicked aperture. So yeah, this is going to definitely be in my bag, my whatever you want to call it, kind of at all times. It just is. It's awesome. It's really, really, really good. And I like the dedicated record button. It's just nice to have something, because sometimes you're like, I mean, this has it too. It's behind here. This does feel like, I don't have massively big hands, but this feels like it's better made for a person with smaller hands. Not like small hands, not smaller. Like you have to have kind of small hands to feel like this, because the buttons are like kind of cramped. Where this is like, if you have, I would consider myself average hands, it feels really good. And if you have big hands, then yeah, you're probably not going to be enjoying that one. Okay, good luck. Hope this is helpful, and happy shooting.